the discharge, instructions from them were, oh, okay, well, if he's not moving, then here, take this log and just, write down the times when he's moving and check for 2 hours. If he doesn't move 20 times in 2 hours, then drink something and try again 3 hours later. And I was like, what? And now reading that, I'm like, that's not good. Like, let's update that information. And it's a big hospital that's like labeled like one of the best in New Jersey. So with like state-of-the-art NICU and like level 4 NICU, and everything has just been redone, and perinatal specialists and everything. I'm like, how do you not have this information?
Right? It's so basic. Like, it's such a basic, simple tool. And I've actually been, for like the past week, for whatever reason, I see almost every single day somebody talking about a hand Doppler at home. Almost every day I see somebody talking about like, what should I get? How do I use it? Da, 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 da. And every single like time I get on there and I'm like, let me say something to you. If your doctor didn't tell you how to use it and give you one or something, you know what I mean? Like, and you actually get trained with it, you might not be listening to you. You might be listening to the inside of your stomach. You could be listening, you have no idea what you're listening to. And I was like, and let's say you're concerned. I was like, it's going to give you this like false sense of security, because you're like, oh, I heard the heartbeat for like 5 seconds. Right. And I didn't go in. And then you're going to go. And then the next day you're like, well, I didn't feel baby move at all. And by the time you go in, you're going to be like, well, I listened on a Doppler. Okay. But it's not the same as like what they use at the hospital, and they don't check you for like 5 seconds. So I had to like explain with people. I'm like, please, if you are having anxiety or you're having like concerns, actual pregnancy concerns, you have to go to your doctor about this. You have to work as a team with your doctor. If they need to do extra monitoring on you or extra ultrasounds, they can totally do that. That is available to anyone. So I'm like explaining this. And a lot of people are like, well, I didn't know that. I'm like, you can always call your doctor. And when you get to a certain point, definitely go in, like freaking go. I was like, if you notice not enough or too much, either or, something's going on, I'm like, just go in. It's just not even worth like waiting it out or trying the juice or laying on your left side or all the other nonsense that they tell you to do. Because if baby is having a problem at that time, from what I've learned from medical people, baby can have reserves is what they call it. So you can go, baby be in a distress situation, but because baby was on enough reserve when you got there, they can get baby out and baby can live. The problem that all medical people will tell you is we don't know how long those reserves are for each baby. Every baby's different. Every placenta is different. Every pregnancy is different. So they're like, we know there's reserves, but we don't want to go, well, we're on reserves. But I did hear about, and it happens a lot, like toward the end of pregnancy, and I'm sure a lot of people experience, we go through like the non-stress test and we go through like, ultrasound sometimes or different things. And they kind of do as you get closer, they do them a lot more frequently. They're not like doing them every week or every month or something. It's like every few days or every, whatever, depending on the situation. Well, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm good. But they're trying to do it as frequent as possible, because in that time, it could be a couple days, things can go downhill fast. Right. And that count that kicks is so huge, because you would notice something is off. The pattern isn't right. My kid's not, I don't feel right. Sometimes you just get this idea in your head, like, I feel off. And explaining that feeling is confusing, because I've been there and I didn't understand. And my midwife totally dismissed and totally manipulated me to like not trust my own feelings about it. But that is it's such a weird thing that we do have if there's anything of the natural world or anything, whatever, even a doctor will tell you, there is something about like our instinct. There is something like a gut feeling that we get sometimes that we can't explain, where it's like something feels off. Something doesn't feel right. Maybe you feel like whatever. That's the time, like it's something in there like, who knows what it is, saying just go in. It's just better to be
Right.
safe to go in, get checked out. And they do an ultrasound and you see your baby and everybody celebrates, yay, you're having a baby. And either
Right.
you have your baby that day or they send you home and say, check with us later.
Right. Right. They'd always rather you go in. Always. If you're feeling something weird, they'd much rather have you go in and, send you home. Because I see people in, mom groups sometimes who are like, oh, well, I'm experiencing this and that. And like, I don't know what to do. And all of these people in the comments are like, go, why are you asking us?
Yes.
Don't ask the mom group. I have a meme saved on my phone that's like someone at the computer and her baby is on the floor on fire. And it says like, baby's on fire. What do I do? Ask the mom group. I don't understand how like hospitals and doctors are not up to date on this. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. We've talked about this before. And the worst thing was our websites that we like share for even in the US is from Europe. We're talking about like Count the Kick stuff that is more up to date is in another country. And we have to share in America because our Count the Kicks is like not very good. And a lot of people, you say, oh, go to your doctor to like talk about this or like figure it out, because some people don't even really understand it of what it is. And then you go to your doctor and some people like they get a paper or some people get like this, or a nurse tells them something or whatever. And the doctor didn't even like tell them anything. There's so much like miscommunication also. And then there's also that like outdated like information too, where I'm like, and a lot of people do think like, well, I'm not feeling baby, I'll just call my doctor, but it should just be automatic. And a doctor should say this too. If you're not feeling baby or you're feeling way too much movement, just go straight into the hospital. Because the thing is if you go to your doctor's office and they're checking you, they still got to send you to the hospital anyways. You might as well go there. And the hospital has everything equipped because doctors' offices generally don't have all that equipment. Like they don't have all the stuff that labor and delivery has everything. And they'd rather you be there because all they have to do is make a phone call and your doctor's on the way, or there's a doctor there anyways, that's on call to get your baby out or get to where you got to go for, what's going on. So it's like, just go straight in. But that was another thing that I know a lot of people were like, well, I'm going to call my doctor. And I'm like, well, you can, but if you ever call your doctor, this is what happens to me. I mean, I just saw this morning, but when you go to call your doctor, sometimes you're like on hold and it feels like forever. When you have like a question or a concern, you're like, and then you start thinking like, wow, I've been on the phone for 10 minutes. If I could be in the car for like 10 minutes right now, almost to labor and delivery right now. Like you start thinking about the time. And by the time you get to the nurse then says to you, let me ask your doctor and I will either put you on hold again, or they have to call you back. Just go in. Like, don't try to get in or anything.
Go in and call your doctor on the way.
Exactly. Which actually there is a lot of doctors that's actually what they say. They're like, just head to the hospital. That is our planned delivery point. And you just call me on the way to notify my office that this is happening. And then that way I can, if I need to get over there to the hospital, like if you do need to be delivered or whatever, I'm right there. I will be there. And that's actually what I got told with my last baby. And then that's when the whole game changer of everything was, the whole natural was like, whatever. But the next one with hospitals and doctors, complete different, when they were like, you just call me, but that's where you got to go. Like you just be there and I will be there. I'm up the road. I will come deliver your baby. Everything's good. So I was like, okay, I learned something. But a midwife, you'll be calling for hours and they won't even answer. Like, I'm at a birth or I'm doing something. And it's like, doing what? What are you doing? You're the midwife. You're supposed to get here.
Or I'm on my way. And then 4 hours later, they're still on their way. Well, where were you?
I'm like, how? You're 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away. Like, how did you be 4 hours? Like, how did it take you that long? And another thing is like, I've heard of many that they have like their kit. They have like their bag of equipment midwives carry. Kind of looks like a purse sometimes or whatever. So a lot of them will go and they either leave it in their car or they didn't bring it at all anyways. you're going to, somebody's in labor. Like, you're the midwife. That's your job. Bring your bag. Like, I know there's really not much in there, but I would think it would have maybe like some gloves, like,
Maybe.
basic gloves, even though we do see the little tiny little gloves, and then they're sticking their whole arms and hands and like up to their, shoulders in like the pools. And I'm like, those gloves are doing nothing. Like, why even have they're going to get lost in there with like all whatever's going on in that pool. Right.